Every day we say at the office when we go to work, what are we doing today to make sure Andrew Cuomo is not governor in 2022? And all politics being local, that starts right now, right here in Batavia in 2020. We find ourselves in the snow and the cold and the ice passing petitions for these important offices that we face. And boy, this is an important election. From the presidency on down to our local elections, so much of our future is on the line.
As you've watched Albany unfold this last year and the beginning of this year, hold on to your pants, hold on to your wallets, because you ain't seen nothing yet. I have never in my life even imagined some of the things that have been occurring over the last year and a half. It really is anti-American.
Steve Hawley is that leader in the assembly that brings common sense back to the table, that brings the viewpoint in a loud voice of our rural, agricultural, upstate lifestyle to the forefront. And we are so fortunate to have him and have him running for another term in the state assembly.
And the costs of these mandates and the Medicaid programs that have been foisted on us with no choice by localities of what programs we'll have continues to go unabated. Our Medicaid costs in the state of New York are $78 billion a year out of a $180 billion budget. That's huge. That's birth to grave. That's larger than California and Texas combined. And each of those states have more folks that reside in those states than we do.
You know, the governor has had a sustained assault on local communities, local governments, and rural communities. He just stepped it up to probably the unprecedented level in what he is doing in the new proposal he is having in terms of wind farms. He is trying to usurp all power and remove any local say on the siting of major industrial wind farms that could change forever what we know in these communities here. We have to be unified and fight this assault and make sure that this doesn't happen. The way it's written now, local communities will have no say on industrial siting of industrial wind farms in this area. This is going to be a proposal in the budget. We have to fight tooth and nail. And let me just say this. If I'm elected to Congress, I will be obviously at the federal level, but I will be keenly aware of every time I can assert my authority to protect local communities here and get the state government off your back. And this is one area I will focus a lot on, because let me tell you something. Federal credits are what enable windmills to happen. And I'm going to be keenly aware and make sure that we can tweak this law to make sure there's always local say in the siting of windmills if I'm in the Congress.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but Albany is leading us in the absolute wrong direction right now. And our state is in big trouble. We have gone down the pathway of single-party control in Albany for almost 2 years now. And in just 2 short years, they have literally led us to fiscal ruin. We are $6.1 billion in the hole right now when it comes to the state budget. We also have had failed laws and twisted priorities coming out of Albany, which in no way, shape, or form are emblematic of our values here in Genesee County, Erie County, and Monroe County, which I'm running for.
But there's another Chris from Erie County that doesn't have a single characteristic like the other two Chris's. This is a gentleman. This is an individual who is unbelievably concerned about his community, about his neighbors, about his family, and his new daughter. He is a gentleman. He's more of a listener and a thinker as opposed to a talker and someone who's about himself. You will never hear this Chris from Erie County talk about himself. He wants to know what your thoughts are, and he will act on those for the best interest of all of us. I'm proud to endorse him. I'm proud to call him a friend. Our next Congressman, Chris Jacobs.
I want to thank Don and Dick Siebert and everyone else. You know, I've been in this race over almost 10 months now. And one reason I wanted to get in the race early is because I'm from Erie County, and there's 7 other counties in the 27th Congressional District. I wanted to learn more about the issues of concern in each and every county, so I would be a better candidate, and if I was fortunate enough to be elected, a better congressman. And I want to thank everybody who has afforded the time to me over the last number of months. I certainly have a lot more to learn, but I feel much better equipped as I'm moving forward in the next stages of this special election.
But they needed that seat back in Buffalo, a 3-1 Democrat seat. 3 times as many Democrats as Republicans. But Chris Jacobs ran for that seat. He won that seat with authority because his message was one that brought people of all stripes together, that brought Democrats, independents, Republicans alike to come and vote the line and vote for Chris Jacobs because he was the right person for the job. And as we go to this seat in Congress, people ask me why I support Chris Jacobs. And I'll tell you why. This seat is in my heart because this was how I got my start in Congress. And I met many of you over the years when I worked for Congressman Reynolds and then brought a guy named Lee out here for a short time to be your congressman. But the 8 counties of Western New York, this is our home. You know, we have to, and we deserve a voice. And when our president was being impeached, we didn't have a voice or someone to pull that lever and say no. We were voiceless, and we have been voiceless. And I support Chris Jacobs because it's time to return respectability back to this seat in Congress. And someone that serves with honor and distinction and says what they mean and means what they say, and they're not coming in here and telling you what you want to hear or what they think you want to hear. They're going to sit at your dining room table or in rooms like this and listen to you. Ears open, public service first, in the spirit of Barbara Conable and Jack Kemp and Bill Paxton and Tom Reynolds. And it's time to go back to that. It's time to bring back someone that can emulate that service, and that's what we have in Chris Jacobs. And I ask you to get out a vote like you've never done before on April 28th to help deliver him to the United States House of Representatives.
I believe that in my 30 years, I've acquired the skill set as a business person, a public servant, to be able to be impactful in Congress. That's why I believe it's the right time for me personally to do this, because I'm ready to do the job you deserve and do it with integrity. I want to go to Washington. I love this community. I want to fight for this community every day in Washington, and I want to fight alongside this president in the great things he is doing to turn this country around as he enters his 2nd term, because I believe he will win. I want to continue with the road he has started on us in terms of reforming our economy so we can bring manufacturing back, including farming. I want to fight alongside with him as he stands up for this country on the international stage, renegotiating trade deals that are pro-American. And finally, I want to fight with him as he secures our border.
And Chris Jacobs, Chris and I have known each other since high school. We have a ton of mutual friends together. We have a friendship and a partnership that goes way back. And I remember when Chris first ran, and many of the conversations that we had when he ran for county clerk. And I said, Chris, you're a leader. You're someone who will resonate in our community, and you will win, and I know you will lead well. And not only from the private sector, but also from the work that you've done in the public sector. Our community is very fortunate to have him, and he's going to be a wonderful congressman who's going to represent the Congressional District number 27 extremely well. So I'm so proud to be on the ticket with you.
The RAS have been serving our community in Western New York for, the better part of this century. From, where you have his grandfather, who was the first Erie County executive, his father, a distinguished justice of the Supreme Court for the 8th District, and his mother needs no introduction in this room. Mary Lou Rath is a legend and remains a legend, and I know she is his tag team partner on this campaign trail, and we'll be out there rapping on doors and keeping him on track. So you got no worries about who's managing that campaign. So, but Mary Lou is a treasure, and Ed, in his own right, has been that leader that we need at this time, and he's answered the call of the party to step up and help us continue and restore a Republican voice in the state Senate from this district.
Ways to give driver's licenses to illegal aliens, to give more rights and privileges to illegal aliens than people who are here legally receive. However, recently we have seen the Trump administration rightly take on Andrew Cuomo, Prince Andrew Cuomo, with saying that you need to share this DMV data. Because our communities are at risk, we need to be protected with the sharing of this DMV data to the Department of Homeland Security and Customs and Border Patrol.
His work at the county level has been exemplary. He stands for small business success. He stands for less interference in our everyday lives by businesses, by government, and he is one of us, and his whole family have been one of us for, as Nick said, the better part of a century. I'd like to introduce to you Ed Rath Jr., my friend, our next state senator.
We are at a number right now of 23 state senators. If we fall down to 21, we go below the one-third number, which is absolutely critical that we're above that one-third number in Albany. If we give the Democrats single-party control as well as two-thirds in both houses, there's no check and balance on their out-of-control spending, out of their misaligned policies and their strategies which are leading our state in the wrong direction.
And we have a very important choice in front of us. I had the pleasure to sit in the Oval Office last week with the president, and let me tell you what, he's fired up, he's ready to fight, he is very laser focused on what we're doing here to revitalize the party in New York. And he's helping us, he's providing resources and what we need to get the job done.
And ladies and gentlemen, the stakes are absolutely massive this year in 2020. Across the top of the ticket with President Trump, who has done a miraculous job of turning our country around, of doing what he was going to say, accomplishing what he set out to do. And that's exactly what he has done. Our country is significantly better 4 years later under his leadership. And Chris, I'm so proud that you're our candidate because you are the one who's going to be advocating for a continuation of the great policies of the president and also advocating with all of us for our conservative and Republican principles in this room.
We've had a rash of stolen vehicles. I think it's been like 19 since the beginning of the year. We apprehended the individual that we know is responsible for those in a high-speed chase, a foot pursuit. What do? We have to give them an appearance ticket. Day after we give them the appearance ticket, stolen vehicles. If that isn't a threat to our community.
Probably the biggest talk of the town right now is the elimination of cash bail. And what that has done and how that was even approved is so fundamentally wrong. It was pushed through last year in the budget process. It was not given the due diligence that it deserved to be discussed before committees, for the issues to be weighed, and for everyone to get a chance to tell their perspective on this issue. Instead, it was rammed into the budget. And what do we have because of that now? We have a prioritization of criminals over the rule of law.
I'm not sure what his goal is, but I believe it's probably all has to do with votes. How many times can this governor of the state of New York go to Puerto Rico on our tax dollars? It's all about the extended families of those folks that happen to live in Puerto Rico and their families in New York City mainly and other urban areas. Everything he does, from handouts on Medicaid to coddling criminals, is about the extended families and votes.
I'll leave you with a simple message of thank you. Thank you for what you're about to embark on with these petitions. This is tough work, and I really appreciate it. And every one of these candidates here, from the local level right on up to our congressional candidate, appreciate what you're about to do. This is difficult, and it's thankless, but we are united, strong, and ready to win and take our state back. Thank you, and God bless you all.